Hey everybody, welcome to episode 12 of Why Orillia. Today I am joined by Wendy Timpano at the Community Development Corporation, CDC. Wendy, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
So I wanted to get into the episode, started off with the question that I start every episode off with. Tell me a little bit about, and the audience, about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name's Wendy Timpano. I'm the general manager here at the CDC. I grew up here in Orillia. I went away which I think a lot of young people do, I went away to start my career in Toronto. Went to school and ended up having our first child and came back to Orillia because we thought this was the community that we wanted to raise our kids in. I am I started getting involved in the community and found my role here at the CDC and have been here for the last 8 years.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you mentioned earlier that you're from Orillia, you haven't always lived here. What's that journey been like, living in Orillia, leaving, coming back?
Yeah, that's a great question. I growing up here in Orillia was fantastic. I have very fond memories looking back, no question. But interesting, as you're growing up as a teenager, you start thinking, oh gosh, how can I get out of a small town? I want to go to the big city. I want to, experience a whole lot of things. And so I went away to school in Toronto. It was a great experience, a nice way to start my career and get some exposure to a lot of different things and experience as well working. But found that, we lived in a condo at Yonge and Sheppard, and our connection to community was not nearly the same as what it is in a community like Orillia.
Right.
So when we had our first child, we decided that was just not where we wanted to raise our family, and we made the leap, came back, and haven't looked back, have not regretted it.
It's such a common theme. It was the same thing in my personal life. So many people feel the need to leave, and I was talking about it in episode 2 with Jill Tillman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We were talking about this, and it's helped our community so much because so many people have left. They've gone to big cities like Toronto and throughout the States, and they've acquired more culture and more experience, and then so many, yourself, myself, come back, and we bring all of that richness with us, and we're able to bring that to the community, add to the community in a different way that maybe we couldn't before. So it's really, it gives me goosebumps hearing your story because it's very similar to mine and leaving and not feeling that community and not feeling sort of at home in the big city. So you're the general manager at the CDC.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what you guys do here.
Sure. So we are the Community Development Corporation. We offer or manage the Community Futures Program, which is a national program. It is in rural communities across Canada. There are 269 of them across Canada, and so we are one of those. We provide business loans, free business coaching to local businesses. We also work on a number of different community economic development projects. I could probably go on about the number of projects that we've done over the years. And
is there anything that you guys are working on right now that specifically excites you?
Yeah, well, there's a number of things. I can share with you a couple of different ones that we've really been focusing on a lot lately. The first one I would say would be our youth subsidy program, our youth wage subsidy program, where we invite employers to tell us about the jobs that they have available. We invite youth, and youth is defined as age 30 and under, to come into our office if they're looking for a job, or perhaps they're underemployed where they're not working in a job that they wanted to be working in terms of their career goals. So we invite them to come in and we look for matches, and in doing that we will help subsidize up to 70% of the wage for 4 to 6 months for those employers. So it gives them an opportunity to train those individuals on the job.
And it gives them an opportunity to jump into the right field. I've seen so many people graduate from university or college and they have all this debt and they need to just jump into whatever is going to pay the bills, not necessarily get into the right profession, and they end up going on this totally different path than they had intended to.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely, we hear that quite a bit from youth in the community. We've held different focus groups, and that's how we knew that there really was a gap between those individuals who come out who who have training, so education or theoretical training, but just not that experience to jump into the job. So.
Right. Is there anything else that you guys are working on? I know you were telling me something really exciting earlier.
Yeah, one other thing that's really exciting right now is a succession matching program. So we call it the business transition matching. We know of a lot of business owners in the community who are looking to transition out of their business in the next few years. And preparing for that transition is really important. So we have a program where they can actually list or join, access resources and information to help them with that transition, but also potentially find buyers for their business as well. So we look at matching buyers. One of the biggest challenges we hear from business owners and entrepreneurs who are looking to transition out is that they don't want to necessarily publicize the sale of their business.
Right.
And as a realtor, you probably understand or hear that too, because they'll hear their employees might get scared and leave them. They might hear from suppliers that they won't give them what they need anymore. Customers start looking for deals. There's lots of challenges with that. So this program,
in a small town, news can travel fast, and it may not always be accurate as well.
Absolutely. So this program allows them to have the anonymity that they wish when they're looking to sell that business.
Wow, that's amazing. So, you guys are really entrenched in the community of Orillia, and you personally live in Orillia. What's your favorite spot in Orillia?
I have a lot of favorite spots. I mean, apart from my home and my neighborhood, because I have amazing neighbors. I have a fantastic park just down the street. My family's there. But there's one place, there's a few that rise to the top of the list, and they all relate to the natural, nature, essentially. Right. There's on the 13th line in Oromadonte, there's a beautiful, it's just the most beautiful road to walk on. Old trees, a great old place. Yeah. The waterfront in downtown Orillia and Tudhope Park. I mean, we have the most beautiful and amazing trails and waterfront that I've seen anywhere, really.
Absolutely. And not only do we have these natural resources and the setup there, but the city has actually built things around it so that you can really enjoy it.
Absolutely. Fantastic for families. Actually, no matter what your age, young, old, they're great places.
Now, the initial inspiration for this show came to me a while ago from so many people sort of misrepresenting and misunderstanding the city of Orillia. People outside of Orillia too easily just turn their nose up at the city, and they like to criticize us for whatever it was. And I felt that so much of this was myth versus reality. If there's a myth about Orillia that you could bust today, what would be that myth?
So I might go back to my own experience, I guess, in leaving the community and then coming back. And I think it's important that young people understand and feel that there's real opportunity here to come back and live their lives here. So yeah, you can go away and get some great experience, but coming back, the community really embraces you. And if you reach out, there are tons of opportunities for entrepreneurial ventures, lots of opportunity for connecting, lots of support and resources and that sort of thing. So I think I would really highly encourage young people to consider this a place to stay or come back to.
Yeah, there's a ton of opportunity, and as we've seen in the past few years, I think we're really just getting started, but we've really seen this huge growth and opportunity recently.
Yeah, and if I could add to that too, I mean, not just opportunity, but the lifestyle here is second to none. So when you think about all of the things that we have to offer in terms of activities like ski hills and snowmobile, I mean, the lakes we have access to, and boating and fishing, and so there's so many great things.
I think it used to be that you either had to have one or the other. You could either have a city with lots of opportunity, or you could have a city that had this sort of cottage country feel to it.
Right.
But you couldn't always have both. And I think, at least in Ontario, Orillia has really become, in my mind, one of the only ones that's really meshed those two together, where you can run a successful business, work for a business, like have a real career, and then go spend the weekends on the water and not have to leave the city.
It's amazing. And you think about, I mean, with technology these days, you can work remote. I mean, you can even be working for, I did it myself. I consulted for a number of companies in Toronto when I moved back up here, and it's great because you're right, you can have both. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the name of this show and the way that I finish every single episode is by asking, why Orillia? You are from Orillia. We've talked a lot about why you love Orillia and things about it that you love, but you know, you could live anywhere. What specifically about Orillia does it for you?
It's a couple things. I mean, first off, I think I would say the sense of community. I'm sure a lot of people say that, well, because I think it's true, but sense of community. And I see that when I, watch my kids at school, when I watch my kids do their activities. I see that when I look at my parents and the groups and social organizations and things that they're involved in. And when I walk down the street, I have that sense of community. When I work with the entrepreneurs and businesses in our community, I see that sense of community there as well, attending events and that sort of thing. So sense of community would probably be top reason why, but could I share one more?
Absolutely, yeah. Anything that's putting a good light on Orillia, there's no time limit.
Great. No, I also think that we have a very passionate and engaged community. And you know what, sometimes people don't always agree, but to me, having discussions and figuring out, it shows, figuring out what the best thing for Orillia is, shows that people care. So 100%. The people in this community care about what happens in Orillia. And I think that that's critical for moving us forward, for growth, for development, and it just makes it a better place to live.
You can see it all the time. Even if there's debate about what the right course of action is, I see it. And I've talked a lot about this sort of off camera with, some debates on council and that sort of stuff. But I find that everybody comes from this genuine place of wanting to make Orillia better, and because they love the community. And they all have their own different ideas on how to do that and how to get that done. And so that doesn't always translate into everybody agreeing.
Yeah.
But they come from this very genuine place of wanting to make our community better. And I think that's probably what has made our community better.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
So wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm very happy that we got to do this.
Thank you.
And if people want to reach out to your organization, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Probably the best way would be to visit our website. So it's www.orilliacdc.com.
Perfect.
We also have Facebook page and Twitter, so welcome, or we would welcome people to engage with us there too.
That's perfect. Thank you.